There's something strange about how being smart can sometimes feel like a burden. Being labeled too smart often constitutes a curse. But why do people often push back against intellectualism? Philosophy might provide some insight. Arthur Schopenhauer ventured that being smart and suffering go hand in hand, largely because of what he called the will. According to Schopenhauer, the world we see is just a representation, our way of making sense of it. Beneath it all is this will, an irrational force driving all desires that never really find satisfaction. The intellect, or our ability to think and understand, lets us see the cycle of wanting and suffering clearly. And the smarter you are, the more you see how unending and futile the cycle is. Schopenhauer summed it up with, "Life is a constant process of dying." Awareness of this reality helps people see the world more clearly, but it also means feeling the weight of that knowledge more heavily. And this understanding can make smart people feel isolated. Schopenhauer argued that when you grasp life's harsh truths, you might find fewer people see things like you do. He maintained that solitude is essential for intellectual freedom and wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone." Friedrich Nietzsche, who Schopenhauer influenced, took a different approach. While he acknowledged the pain that comes with intellect, he saw it as something that could be turned into a strength. He proposed the idea of the Übermensch, a person who rises above ordinary thinking and creates meaning in life. And thus spoke Zarathustra. He wrote, "Man is something that shall be overcome." And for Nietzsche, during that struggle of being smart becomes a chance to grow stronger and find new ways to live. Another influential thinker, Jean-Paul Sartre, focused on the freedom that comes with realizing that life has no inherent meaning. Sartre asserted that we must create our purpose, which can be freeing yet incredibly terrifying. In Being a Nothingness, he argued that existence precedes essence, meaning our actions define us. And Sartre saw the intellectual struggle as part of this process, facing the world's absurdity and figuring out how to live with it. While Schopenhauer saw the intellect as a source of suffering because it reveals life's futility, Nietzsche and Sartre viewed this awareness as an opportunity, recognizing life's challenges as a call to create something meaningful for them. Today, the pushback against smart people seems stronger than ever. Throughout history, intellectuals have been sidelined or even attacked when their ideas threaten the status quo. And now we see this happening in politics and on social media. Take the COVID-19 pandemic, for example. Despite solid evidence, public health experts and scientists were often dismissed or even attacked for giving guidance. And some political leaders and influencers played on public mistrust, echoing Schopenhauer's thought that the majority of men are not capable of thinking, but only of believing. Social media has made it even easier to mock intellectuals. On platforms like Twitter, quick and sensational posts often get more attention than thoughtful discussions. And Schopenhauer noted that people tend to avoid brutal truths, preferring simpler answers. He wrote, "Every miserable fool who has nothing at all of which he can be proud adopts as a last resource pride in the nation to which he belongs." This desire for simplicity often leads to a backlash against those who challenge comfortable beliefs. Even pop culture plays into this. Shows like The Big Bang Theory. I like it. It's funny. But they reinforce the idea that smart people are awkward and out of touch. This stereotype makes it seem like practical skills and social know-how are more valuable than intellectual pursuits. This tension between intellectual and practical knowledge can hit close to home. Maybe you've encountered the perceived clash between book smarts and street smarts. One gets characterized as pie in the sky versus the other having practical use. And this thinking undervalues scholarly pursuits, making it hard to bridge the gap between different ways of seeing the world. Schopenhauer's insights echo this experience. He warned that society often mistakes intellectualism for elitism. And just because someone's smart doesn't mean that they think they're better than others. Schopenhauer himself criticized the arrogance that can sometimes come with intellect, but also argued that the world needs smart people to challenge and improve society. He put it best. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. Some argue that the backlash against intellectuals is a reaction to such an elitism. They claim that intellectuals can be out of touch with everyday concerns and that their ideas, while clever, often lack real-world application. And this perception has led to a growing distrust of intellectuals, with some seeing them as arrogant or disconnected from reality. But this view overlooks the value of intellectual work. Intellectualism can sometimes seem elitist, but that's not the whole story. Schopenhauer himself, remember, warned against intellectual arrogance, emphasizing the need for humility and clear communication. The real challenge isn't being smart, it's ensuring that intelligent ideas are accessible and relevant. The line between intellectual and practical knowledge isn't clear. Both are important and often go hand in hand. Practical knowledge helps us deal with the world as it is, while intellectual knowledge helps us understand and improve it. The key is not to dismiss intellectualism, but to find ways to connect it with everyday life. And intellectuals are responsible for making sure their ideas don't just sit in ivory towers. They must engage with people's concerns and show how their insights can lead to practical solutions. By doing this, they can counter the perception of elitism and demonstrate the real-world value of their work. Given all this, how can smart people defend their place in society? One way is to embrace being different and to use it to their advantage. Instead of trying to fit in, intellectuals can focus on making a difference from the edges. And this might mean speaking out in public, writing pieces that provoke thought, or simply not being afraid to ask tough questions. Another important step is making intellectual ideas accessible. It's not enough to be right, you have to be understood. And Schopenhauer was great at breaking down complex concepts into language that anyone could grasp. Following his lead, today's intellectuals should work on communicating their ideas in ways that reach more people. And finally, we need to create a culture that values curiosity and critical thinking. This starts in the classroom, where students should be encouraged to explore and question rather than memorize. It also extends to how we talk about ideas in public, where thinking critically should be celebrated, not shunned. If we can make asking why a strength, we can begin to push back against anti-intellectualism. But what happens if we don't change? Well, the risks of dismissing smart people are real and immediate. When society starts ignoring its thinkers, it loses out on the ideas that drive progress. Schopenhauer might warn that this could lead to a stagnant culture where new ideas are met with hostility instead of curiosity. Look at how schools often prioritize standardized testing over creative thinking. Now, I'm not saying there aren't exceptions or outstanding educators, but students are often trained to pass exams rather than to think critically or creatively. And this approach discourages those who might excel in intellectual pursuits but don't fit the standardized mold. Schopenhauer's quote, "The intellect is invisible to the man who has none," could easily apply to how schools sometimes fail to recognize and nurture true intellectual potential. And this trend of opposing smart people, that's nothing new. But Schopenhauer recognized the problem long ago. By understanding and applying his insights, we can better tackle the challenges of being smart. And more importantly, we can shift how society views intelligence, from something to be scorned to something of value. After all, if we lose respect for intellect, what do we have left? If you enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Like, share, and subscribe. We're on a mission for 1,000 subscribers. And this one might be the one to watch next.